In this episode of Super Seicento, I'm going to monitor you quite carefully, see if I can gauge your interest. Hello you lot, Miller Corner here and welcome back once again to Super Seicento. Today we're back on the interior mods and it's a couple of small but very effective little mods that are going to make the car so much nicer to use on a regular basis. The car's there and looking awesome, the weather is less awesome, so I'll join you in the car. So the main thing that's been bothering me about this interior pretty much since day one is the lack of information you get. Yes, I've got a speedo, I've got a fuel gauge, I've got a rev counter, but that's about it. And particularly in light of the Super Seicento recently overheating during its MOT test, I thought it's high time that we finally get some sort of temperature gauge going on here. This is an ultra gauge. It's from America and it's actually courtesy of a guy called Matt, the very same Matt who donated the new dashboard so I could get this one flocked. So Matt, you're a legend, thank you very much mate. Now this is an OBD2 gauge for your car and apparently it's got over 50 different readouts you can have for things in your car like your water temperature, your oil temperature, your speed, your miles per gallon. If you've got a turbo car, you can even have boost pressure. There's loads of stuff you can have showing on this little gauge and it just plugs into your car's standard diagnostic port. This is a mount that you put on your windscreen to hold your phone. Actually, you push on that, goes on your windscreen, push it down, suckers on, job's a good one. So what I'm going to do is get this mounted on the windscreen, get the ultra gauge mounted in it, run all the wiring down to the OBD port, which is down by my right foot, and then we can see what it's like to actually have a temperature gauge. Decadent luxury. And I reckon that can go about here. Suction that on, and then with that in place I can then grab my ultra gauge. Just to be clear, I am just using the name ultra gauge because that's what it's called. I'm not being sponsored by them or anything like that. And the reason why I'm using a phone mount is you might be able to see there are some buttons on the back for all the different menu features that this thing's got. So let's be able to pop it in here like so. The only slight issue with this thing is because it's an American device, it's designed for left-hand drive cars, which means this cable would be better placed for a left-hand drive car, so it comes out of the left of the thing. So I'm going to tuck it all around this cowling here, which actually is going to do a very nice job of tucking in. I didn't plan for it to go that well, if I'm honest. We're going to run the cable down here. I'm going to cable tie it up under the dash, which is going to be fascinating to watch, I'm sure. And then we can plug this thing in and actually in business. Now of course when you are installing pretty much anything on the interior or indeed engine bay, exterior or pretty much any part of your car, there are only two tools that do the job perfectly. Yep, we've got cable ties because project car. I'm going to run this wire up under the dash. You're going to have to take my word for it I'm afraid, but there is a perfectly sized bracket thing that I can actually cable tie all this onto, so that's going to have to go there. Now it's crucial when you're running wiring under the dash that you do it neat and tidy, because if you don't and the wire drops down, it gets caught up in your feet, death or injury may occur. And that's not me being legal, that's me being sensible. You might also notice the wind, that is another issue today. I lost my cable ties. I didn't even clock that. No! False alarm, we have the cable ties. Cable tie numero 10. Ah! We've come to life it would seem. Quick, cue a jump cut. Okay, I'm going to leave the car running for this. I don't know if you need to, because the only other thing we're getting this second hand is I didn't get any instructions. So you're learning as I am with this one. Yeah, that's really tight. I'm happy with that install though. That's not getting caught up in any feet anytime soon. Okay, how big is my fuel tank? I don't know how big the fuel tank is. Give me a minute to Google. It's 35 litres. Oh, that's American litres though, isn't it? 9.2 US gallons. Oh, because it's an American thing, it's asking me in US gallons. 1.24 is the actual engine size. Okay, so we've got MPG, gallons, instant MPG and average MPG, neither of which I'm very interested in. If you're watching outside America, the MPGs or whatever will be rated in American miles per gallon, which is less useful if you don't use American miles per gallon, so just bear that in mind. Gauge and page menu, we've got vehicle setup, ultra gauge setup, alarms, trouble codes, but that's good, so it does work as a code reader. That's all good, that's all good, that's all good. Look at all the things we can have, look. Gallons used, trip, average kilometre and mileage, average fuel consumption, average mileage, battery voltage, miles since the last service, mass airflow sensor, instantaneous MPG, boost pressure in PSI, not that I'd need that, brake horsepower in kilowatts and horsepower being used, torque in pounds feet and newton meters. This is a really clever bit of kit, isn't it? Bear with me while I configure this. Okay, so after further inspection, when you're configuring your pages, you can set up to 6 gauges on each page. So let's configure that. If I keep going back, and there we go. So that's all I'm actually going to use. Look at that. So on the left, we've got engine temperature in degrees, which is currently running at 78 degrees C. And on the right, you can see that's the amount of horsepower I'm using. So at idle, I'm using 0.6 horsepower. But if I just rev it a little bit, there we go, I was using 16 horsepower there nearly. That is really cool. And you know what? That looks really neat and tidy. That's really simple and easy to read. And now I've actually got a temperature gauge. How cool is that? So there we go, look, on the road, we can see the engine temperature sitting there at about 80 degrees. So it's gone up a couple of degrees because we're now moving. You can see that I'm using 13 horsepower here to drive along. That is brilliant. And you know what? For the amount of money you can get one of those OBD gauges for, not necessarily an ultra gauge like that one, but a really basic one off eBay or something like that, you can get one for about 15 or 20 quid. And it's a really simple install. Just mount it up, wire it to your OBD2 port, and you can get all kinds of information from your car's ECU that you might not be being told by the standard factory gauges. That is a really, really nice little mod, and frankly, it comes highly recommended. So that is the first interior mod done today, and the next one is even simpler. As someone who drives up and down the country quite a lot for work, coming to see my family, seeing mates, all that kind of stuff, I do use a sat-nav, and if not, I use my phone on Google Maps, other apps are available, with a charger plugged into my car's cigarette lighter. However, because it's pretty much vital in this day and age, I do also run a dash cam, and the trouble with that is that also runs off of a cigarette lighter plug, and as the Seicento only has one plug, I have to choose which one I'm running, and that seems a little bit awkward, that basically if I need to know where I'm going, I can't use my dash cam. So today we're going to rectify the situation with a simple little mod. This is a cigarette lighter splitter. This goes into your standard cigarette lighter and it gives you not one but 2 plugs to plug stuff into. And this particular one, which is from Rockland, it would seem, you can tell I'm not sponsored, has got a USB plug on the plug as well, so technically you could actually run 3 devices, which is really, really useful. This is going to go under the dash, which means I can plug in my dash cam, my phone, my sat nav, and any other electronic devices that you may want to use in your car. That's up to you. Let's mount it. I think we can actually be quite clever here, because on the cage that holds the stereo in, there are lots of little holes in it for air. But what that does mean is what we've got are lots of handy little areas with which to attach cable ties. If we kind of hang our multi-plug thing up under the dash, I can then run some cable ties round it and up through those holes in there. This is going to be almost impossible to film, but take my word for the fact that that's what I've done when I show you a wide angle of me probably failing to do that. So that end goes in there. It's going to be quite tight, hopefully. What you don't want is it flapping around like an old flappy thing. Then you hate it when your thing's flappy. Okay, there's the end. Shove it in the hole. Oh, we like it like that. That is tight. Deploy the torch. And by the torch, I mean the phone. Seems all a bit too doable for my liking. Careful not to cut the wire. If you do, you've totally f***ed it. There you go. Seicento life. So our little cable tie brace is in. The theory is that if I click this over, we should see this start charging and the dash cam start dash camming. Clicking. There we go, instantly, phone started charging. Check out the awesome wallpaper. Dash cam has come to life. Hey, and down here we can see the engine's on, which means we've got a green light on there. So that's charging, that's working, that's charging. OBD port is working. Between all these things that we've plugged in, and there are quite a lot plugged in now, I think we can only call that success. So there you have it, a couple of cheap, easy to install and massively beneficial interior mods done on the Super Seicento. Between a splitter for your cigarette lighter and an OBD2 temperature gauge, for about 30 quid you can transform the feel of your Seicento interior and make it massively nicer to use on a day-to-day basis. We are going to come back to the Super Seicento in the very near future, but for now, back to the mods on the Kawasaki. Thanks for watching everybody, catch you soon, and have a good one.